Hi, on behalf of my co-authors, I am pleased to present our paper entitled A Mixed Method Approach for Assessing Passengers' Perspectives of Autonomous Urban Ferries to you. But first, a little bit about myself. My name is Leander Panteletis, and I am a PhD candidate at the Department of Design in Trondheim, NTNU. I'm also affiliated to the Show Control Lab, which is part of the Department of Design. And at the Show Control Lab, our mission is to improve maritime technology through human-centered design. And focus of our research is how to design control rooms where the humans can still be in the loop, even with more and more autonomous vessels and technology around us within the maritime domain mainly. And a prototype we are especially proud of is the Milliampere 2. It was the first urban autonomous ferry in the world, which was fully working, and it's able to do a crossing all by itself, also do the docking on both sides and avoid obstacles on its journey. And this was also a result of an interdisciplinary project which involved cybernetics, marine technologies, and also design. But introducing autonomous vehicles and vessels to society has far more implications than just fixing the technology. And the International Classifications Agency, DNV, acknowledged this and directed the Trust Project along with partners in academia and also the industry to try to see how they can assure digital assets in future. The Milliampere 2 case and its mobility system is used as a reference case within this project. So as part of this Trust project, there was also a work package concerned with the general public, and the goal was to make citizen engagement to find out if and how the general public would be willing to use such a ferry system. What are their perceived benefits? What are their concerns, needs, and expectations? That was sort of the questions we wanted to find out through this method approach I'm going to present here. The case is centered around the northern part of Trondheim, and it's a crossing of the canal, and it takes approximately 90 seconds to do this crossing. And it's also in enclosed water, and you can really see both ends of the crossing also. Here you can see an overview of the whole approach we did. We divided it into 4 sessions, starting with some information and table discussions, then an immersive session with a VR experience, then another immersive session with a real ferry trial, and at the end some reflection in session 4. For the recruitment of participants, we found that a maximum of around 20 participants would be feasible for the set of 4 sessions. And we made a recruitment profile where we asked specifically for citizens from Trondheim and with some experience with public transport on a daily basis. We also wanted to sort of mirror the inhabitants or the citizens in general which are present in Trondheim today. The recruitment was handled by a third-part company, and the participants also received vouchers as incentives, and all of them also signed an informed consent form and a data management plan, which was approved by the Norwegian Center for Research Data. So before the first session even started, all the participants got a pre-read with some information and some picture about the autonomous ferry project and the mobility concept. And when they came to this session, the first thing they did was to fill out a questionnaire to sort of gauge the immediate and initial perceptions of the participants. Later, we had some informative presentations covering technology, further possibilities for urban spaces, and also a visualized user journey of how such a concept would work in reality. All of this was meant to be a discussion starter, because later on we had table discussions where we divided the participants in smaller groups and then handed out some worksheets with specific questions on safety, on sustainability, and so on. And we also handed out post-its, and we asked each participant to sort of note down their own thoughts on a post-it first before sharing it and discussing with a further group at the table. And after each question, we had also plenary presentations and discussions of what had been discussed and presented at each table. At the very end of the day, we also handed out another questionnaire to sort of see if there was any changes in perceptions and perspectives amongst the participants through this session. All of the questions we asked and also the worksheets you can find as an appendix in our paper. So during the second session, the participants got the possibility to try a VR simulation of the canal crossing with mAh2, and this was also set in a full-size mock-up of mAh2, so you could actually touch what you saw through the VR glasses. We played around with some different scenarios, so there were different conditions of weather and also different conditions of traffic crossing the canal. After this VR experience, the participants filled out another questionnaire, and then we also had a group interview guided by a facilitator at the very end of the session. This session was also conducted in smaller groups of participants. In the third session, the participants got the chance to try the real mAh2 in the canal. And we also divided this session in two parts. In the first part, it was sort of a normal crossing without any obstacles or so. In the second part, one of the researchers took his own kayak and tried to provoke mAh2 to take action. After this, the participants were also asked to fill out a questionnaire, and we had a group discussion as in the VR session at the very end of this session. The fourth and last session included reflective table discussions. It was in a sense very much like the first session, but now it was much more up to reflect on what they had, the participants had experienced, and also give recommendations for the further development of the urban autonomous concept, which then also could be implemented in this assurance case design. Also, like in the first round, we had a plenary discussion after each part. And then there was also a very last questionnaire at the end. Here you can see an overview of the data we gathered, which involved text written by participants, text written by the facilitators, interview notes, but also video recordings from the specific immersive session. So this is leading us to a discussion on opportunities and limitations of our mixed method approach. And if you look at research that has been conducted concerning autonomous urban ferries, this is still quite limited. To our knowledge, it has only been through telephone or online questionnaires. And there, the immersive part would be very much lacking. So as opportunities with our approach, we really want to highlight three key dimensions. And firstly, we have the chronological order between the sessions, stretching from theoretical to increasingly realistic scenarios. This gives time for the participants to do reflections on the overall concept and also track their changes of thoughts over time. As a second key dimension, we want to highlight the spaced intervals of sessions, time for individual reflection, so they could really make up their own mind and not be so biased by potential group dynamics. As a third third part, we also want to highlight the individual and group reflections that were captured. For instance, in all of the table discussions, the participants got the chance to first reflect for themselves before reflecting together as a group. And capturing both of this data could be very valuable. But of course, we have also some limitations to our approach. The fact that we have 4 sessions where the same participants and the same researchers are meeting again and again could possibly draw this towards a positive bias. And it was also mentioned by the participants that some of the sessions were quite repetitive, some of the themes were occurring many times. And another drawback is the quite resource-intensive nature of our approach. So it requires a lot of coordination, a lot of building also with this mock-up and so on, and a lot of organizing. So the number of participants would be somewhat limited. And a higher number of participants would be more beneficial in terms of reaching theoretical saturation around certain topics and also to draw more generalizable conclusions for overarching themes. But being an explorative research method, we think that, and also by acknowledging our limitations, we think that the complexity of introducing autonomous ferries requires such rich and multidimensional data of use perspectives, and that this can also lead to a development of such autonomous technologies for the benefit of the whole society. Thank you.